Right, so welcome back to a brand new video working on the T4, and today we're going to be doing the ball joints. So I have the eBay tool, which I previously done a little video on, which actually, I rate that. I mean, it's expensive, but it worked, so happy days. And then we've got all the tools that we're going to be needing to remove this, well, to do the job. So we've got this little twinkle picker, and I'll be using that to remove and fit that clip on the top ball joint. We've also got the sockets that we need to do, so I've got 17, 19, 21, 24 and a 27. I think it's a M14 spline that you're going to need to remove the bottom ball joint. Also got wire brush to clean everything up, breaker bar. This is to support the brake, so when we take off the brake caliper, that'll support the weight of the brake caliper rather than putting any weight on the brake line. I've got this to remove the old ball joint if all else fails. Sorry about the wind. Allen keys, just in case you need to stop the ball joint from spinning, because Allen key in there. And then we've got a couple of spanners. I might need a few spanners, so I've just got them out ready. The hammer, obviously, for that. A little bit of lube, because everyone loves a bit of lube. And then, obviously, to jack it up and support it, we've got our jack and our axle stand. Right, so that's a quick run through of what we got. Now I've just got to move the van over a little bit, and then we can jack it up and get working, because I don't have a lot of room down here. Yeah, and when I done the engine build, it was right up against the wall. It was even harder. Right, let's set you up somewhere, get the van moved, and we'll crack on. Also, I forgot to mention, you're going to need some sort of measuring device to measure the distance of your torsion bolts. We've got to release the torsion, that torsion nut, and I already know the distance of mine because mine are written down up there. Passenger and driver side, so I always know, so I don't have to actually have to measure it now. All I've done is preset the vernier calipers up to the actual size for the passenger side, so I can just loosen it now. Then when it comes to doing it back up, I already know, and I've got it all set up. Right, let's jack it up. I'm going to release the torsion nut, and then we'll get the wheel off and all that kind of malarkey, and I'll join you once it's up in the air. So you just saw in the time lapse, I've just gone ahead, loosened everything up, sprayed everything in a bit WD, then it'll soak in around everywhere that's got to come off. I'm going to remove the caliper next, hang it up over there, just there. But while all that soaks in, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, and then we'll come back to it in a minute. want to make a good mark on there so that when I kind of put them back all on, it all lines up. This swivel hub lines up with this, otherwise yeah, your camber and that's all going to be out. So just making sure that that's nicely marked. Yeah, so if you were just doing the bottom one, at this point you can just release this, release the bottom ball joint, take this shield off, and then you can separate the lower arm from the hub, and then you can do the ball joint at the bottom. But I'm not doing that, I'm doing the whole thing. Yeah, the joys. Let's get it all apart. Right, a little tip, bit of advice, when you're doing the bottom ball joint, this nut, if it's tight coming all the way off, actually remove it all the way, actually remove it, take it off, and then just put it back on again for when you come to take the ball joint out, so that it doesn't shoot off anywhere. And then yeah, these splines, remove them, and then that will bring it away from the hub. And then once that's removed, yeah, you can get in here and just do the bottom ball joint, but I'm still going ahead and remove the whole hub, which means taking the drive shaft out as well. That's alright, won't take long. Let's carry on. Actually have a ball joint extractor tool, so I borrowed this splitter one off my mate, and it will muller the ball joint, so I won't be able to reuse it. I'll put a bottle jack underneath. I've heated all of this up. I've given it a bit of a tap with a hammer just to loosen it all, trying to free it up. But yeah, the bottle jack underneath, a little bit of pressure, some heat round the actual joint itself, and then leave it to cool down a little bit, and then beat it off with this ball joint splitter. But you can see the ball joint, the rubber has started perishing on this front edge here, and then round the back, I don't know how well the camera is going to pick it up, but round the back you can see there is actually grease protruding one of the where it has perished. So perfect timing, it needed doing. Happy days. But also the drive shaft, I have tied that up to the upper arm just to keep it out of the way a little bit of string, tie that up out of the way, gives you a bit more room. Happy days. Right, next thing, we'll be working on the top, but let's get the bottom out and we'll go from there. So I've now gone ahead and released the lower ball joint. I've released the drive shaft as well, that's dropped down so I can get on with the top. But the bottom, yeah, that's all done now, it's all loose, being released. Bit of perseverance, don't take too long. It's just a bit of a pain, innit? Now I've got to take this bracket off for the what sets the camber up, so got to get that off. I couldn't remove it with the hub on there, it's just they are proper seized on there. So I've rotated it so it's back to front, and yeah, I'm going to hit this in and try and keep it all square. The reason why I've locked it off that way is because it keeps that bracket square on the ball joint itself, rather than it trying to come off at an angle. And again, yeah, a bit of heat in there, using the ball joint splitter, good old hammer, give it a wallop and it will come off. Look at that, vdub monkeys just had a delivery. Happy days, mate. I tell you, their deliveries are amazing. Just because I'm talking, you come running downstairs. Go on, go back in, I'm busy. Yeah, so that's amazing. That I only ordered that yesterday. Another job for the van. Comments down below if you know what that one's for. So I got that ring off for the camber. That's all off now. I moved this using that. Now we're onto this bad boy. So to remove it, needs cleaning up. That'll do. That goes on there, and this black one, as you can see, will sit like that. Basically, I'm going to heat it up first. Give it a little tap with a hammer, loosen everything off, and then that on top, and this down, and then yeah, I'll just keep turning it until it pops out at the bottom. Just make sure it all stays on nice and square, pushes down nice and straight, and it's exactly the same when we put the new one back in. Just want to make sure it all goes up nice and straight. Right, but anyway, before we do that, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. Let's get this out. Right, it's literally just starting to rain, like spitting a little bit. So this is where we're at. Got 24 on there, it's all set up. And all you got to do is just, it's tight. The last thing I'd want to do is for it to suddenly release and then send me flying, because I'm doing this one-handed. But I don't want to get the camera stand out, because obviously it's spitting and I don't want everything getting wet. Must be nearly out. God, it's tiring this. Yeah, it's getting looser now. Job done. Result. Now I've got to clean all of that up. Take this one out, clean all up in there, and then it's a case of putting it all back in. Putting the new one in. We've got to swap this over. We've got to get the other connector. I'll show you that when we get to that stage. Right, I'm going to whip this out, clean them both up, and I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, so it's all been cleaned up, top and bottom. Lubed it with some WD. Next thing, you'll need this one, because that will sit on there like that for when the that clamps on, and then that base it will sit like that, and then as you tighten this, it pushes against the hub, drawing the ball joint up. So the first thing I'm going to do is just going to start it off by hand, push it up, make sure it's nice and, well, as square as possible and tight, and then I'll stick the clamp on there, get the clamp on, and just start tightening it up and pull it up. And then once that's up, we've got a new little clip to go on, just to lock it on. And again, when I put the clip on, that little twinkle picker that I was using, where did I put that? Well, that's the straight one. Oh, here it is. And then I'll use this one just to bend it over and put it all on. Right, so I'm going to crack on now and put it back up. With that, easy peasy, Chapman, easy. So I thought I would include some footage from the previous upload talking about the top ball joint extractor, that tool. So basically here I'm just going to clean everything up, making sure that there's no burrs or anything that is going to catch on when I put the new ball joint back in. So I'm cleaning every single surface for the top ball joint and the bottom ball joint. I'm going to spray everything up with WD-40, just a little bit on the ball joint and a little bit actually on the torsion bar at the top there, just to help it slide in, bit of lube really. And then I fit the tool on, and it's just a case of, I'm just taking my time with it, only putting, only tightening it so much at a time, and then checking, making sure everything's all lined up. I removed it a few times, making sure, just double checking that the ball joint is going in square. And you can see there, I had to take it out because it wasn't going in perfect, and I had noticed there was a little burr underneath. So this is why you need to make sure that you remove, give it a good clean, and you remove all those burrs. And yeah, once you know it's going up nice and square, I just kept on removing the tool. I'll check it, make sure it's still square, put it back on, tighten it a bit more, check it, tighten it, check it, and I just kept doing this process until the top ball joint was actually fully mounted in position. There we go. Just took my time, pressed it in, kept stopping, taking it off, checking, making sure it's all going in square, and now we're just putting this on. There you go, only put it down for 2 seconds and it's done. Bit fiddly, but it's on there. So I've attached the lower ball joint to the hub so that when we put it all on, it will just slide in, make it a bit easier. I've also got to remove that bolt to drop the lower arm, and I've just tied this up, this bracket, just to hold it up. Makes it a lot easier when you're trying to get it in through this hole, because that's from the top. Got to get in through that hole. That's got to stay up there, and then underneath that bit goes onto there, and then we can get the nuts on and then put it all back together. The joys. So it's all back in, everything's all nice and tight. I haven't tightened the drive shaft hub bolt up yet. I'll do that in a moment, but everything else has been tightened up. Also, I actually forgot to mention that make sure that you line up these two marks that we previously made so that the camber angle is exactly as it was beforehand. Everything's nice and tight. Just got the disc to put on, and then we can put the brake caliper on. Remember, pump your brakes first before you go for a drive. I've just done the torsion bar, set that back up. I was literally just sat down editing it all, and I realised that at no point do I explain how I measure the length of the torsion bar. So what I do is I measure from the end here, the end of this stud, and from this point I measure it all the way up to the face of the nut. So that all I'm measuring is the length of the actual threaded stud that's actually stuck through. So that's the length that I measure. Yeah, the other one's over the other side. I'm not very good at explaining things at the best of times, I do apologise. And it's very dark under here as well. I should have got the torch out. But there is one torsion bar right over the other side. I've had to zoom in on the camera, and they're located literally just behind the fuel tank, so you can see the fuel tanks right there. So if we get out from under here, give me a moment, and you can see roughly where it's located. So right underneath where the fuel tank is, in the middle, right there. So it's all pretty much ready, just yeah, ready to go for a test drive, which I won't show you because you don't need to see that. But yeah, we'll call it a day from there. That was a noisy car, just stop for a moment then. Bloody Golf diesels, well noisy. Right, so yeah, I'm just going to crack it all back together now, put all my tools away, tidy up the area as you do, and that's it. Happy days. Well, hopefully you found this helpful, how to change the top and the bottom ball joints. Another job I've got to do. Camera going to focus? No. There we go. See how perished all this one is. Next job on the list. Well, I'll say next, but another one on the list. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.